Hey everybody, I'm Michael Harris, and today my special guest is Nicole Weber. Thank you so much for being on. This is part of my ongoing series of how incredible the field of hypnosis and therapy and NLP is, and all of the vast ways that people can utilize these skill sets. And
Hmm.
just for fun, we've actually never met, so this is the first time we've talked. When when I was in high school, I talked my parents into sending me to horseshoeing school. So when I was in
Oh,
college, I made a living and supported myself in college shoeing horses. So
wow, that's incredible.
yeah, and we did all this stuff, and I learned how to make shoes by scratch, and we did therapeutic shoes and racing shoes and hunter jumpers and
Awesome.
all of that fun stuff. So yeah, so it's great to meet another horse person. So please tell me how you went from hypnotherapy to horse therapy, or was it the other way around?
Good question. First of all, thanks for having me. And well, let's see. Um, I I started doing hypnosis a long time ago. And I'm one of those self-taught people.
Hmm.
I just read a book when I was 12, 13, and there was stuff that you could try out, and I did, and so that's how I got into it. And I started my practice 11 years ago, and 1 year later I figured equestrians have so many problems around fear
Mhm.
that I would think it would be very beneficial for them to have some kind of therapy for that. And so I started working with equestrians. I started with leisure riders, but then I got into working with pros. And we were always working with the human and the horse.
Mhm.
And so I think it was gradual that I got into equine assisted psychotherapy or mental health.
Mhm.
And I started working with another in Germany, we call them riding therapists.
Mhm.
We started a school for equine assisted psychotherapy, and I taught hypnosis and EMDR. And well, I was one of the founders, and we did that for 3 years. And then we just noticed that both of our paths don't don't get so much aligned, or we're drifting apart. I would say that's probably the best way to put it. And then because I wanted to learn more about that field, and especially about how can you I mean, you're using an animal for the benefit of a human being, and with that usage always come problems for the animal, and some institutes look into that and others don't. And I always felt that within Germany there aren't much institutes that teach about equine assisted psychotherapy who really focus on the well-being of the horses.
Mhm.
And so I did a certificate program at the University of Denver about equine assisted mental health. And that was really what I was looking for. And right after I got into equine osteopathy to be able to help the horses better.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's really what I do is very often a combination of all the different modalities that I'm using, like hypnotherapy, trauma therapy, like equine assisted mental health, and I throw in a bit to help the horse too.
Yeah. I have a question.
Sure.
We have a lot of servicemen, a lot of and I use that term, well, service people, I guess would be a better word, that are going off to work, coming back. Are you seeing any of that in soldiers coming back from conflict, and are they even aware of your services?
You know, I cater to a specific part of the population, really. So here I have like individuals who suffer from anxiety, panic attacks, and PTSD and complex PTSD, but I don't necessarily cater to soldiers coming back. I have colleagues who do that. It's not as big a problem here as it is in the US. So I would say, and it's not, well, there's a colleague of mine, or two colleagues of mine, they are working with the Bundeswehr, the German army, but I'm not doing that. So I only help individuals who may have PTSD because of abuse, because of toxic relationships, whatever, or, you know, complex PTSD.
So I'll actually try to stay on script, because we're like way off, but
yeah, I figured.
But there's a great question that I sent to you that I'm scrolling through my questions, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Trauma,
Sure.
Trauma itself is an extremely complex issue. How do you decide whether what method that you're going to use, whether it be hypnotherapy or riding centered or equine assisted therapy? How do you make that decision?
Well, first of all, when it comes to horses, I typically use horses with my equestrian clients. I sometimes do with other clients, and there it really depends on whether they are even open for that. When they have like allergies against horses, or my practice is in the city and the barn is far out. So I have many people who use public transportation to come see me, and for them it wouldn't be feasible to come see me at the barn. So for them it's no option really. And some are really interested about that and wanna have a therapeutic setting within nature. And with them I of course do that. So equine assisted psychotherapy on mental health cannot be separated from other therapy modalities, because it's not only you make use of the horse, but not the horse itself is providing the therapy. It's you're using your, like for instance, you're using trauma therapy or you're using hypnotherapy while the horse is present and while you're doing stuff with your client and the animal. And you do talk therapy, stuff like that. So, and when it comes to would I be doing hypnotherapy with a traumatized client, it really depends on their state, as in how are they right now? How stable are they? Are they able to work? Don't they have work? How do they live? Will they be going home and no one will be there after a session? Or are they in a relationship? Is it stable? Or are they in a relationship with a perpetrator still? And are they able to stay present, or are they dissociating all the time while we're talking? For instance, if a person would be having trouble staying present, I wouldn't start off with hypnotizing them. I would want to work first on them being able to stay present and focused. And I would probably only start with hypnosis with their eyes open, only for a short amount of time. And then, and then it really depends on the progress. And it's pretty individual.
I've been doing hypnosis for 30 years. I very seldom induce formal trance anymore. It just
nor do I.
It's to me it's conversational. Anytime that you're telling somebody a story, that's a trance.
Absolutely.
Quick question. In the US,
Sure.
there's a vast disparity between the psychiatric community and the hypnosis and change work community, and a lot of it has to do with all of the medications that are available, and in the US, not trying to point fingers or stuff, but for my experience with the psychiatric community is they treat symptoms with drugs. They don't have a homeopathic style of let's treat the cause of this, and medication could be a short-term tool, but that's not how they do that. And I was just curious. I've never interviewed anybody from Germany before, and thank you for doing this in English. Yeah, I see you occasionally going,
of course.
What's that word here? I know I couldn't interview in German. But what's is Germany kind of like the UK, in which that you have, in medicine in the UK, you walk down the hall and the physician is here, the cardiac person is here, the acupuncturist is across the hall, the hypnotherapist is down. It's not like that.
No, not at all. I would say it's a bit more like in the US. So there's also a huge gap, and sometimes it's really difficult, but it also depends on the person, if there's a psychotherapist or a medical doctor involved in a case, then it really depends on the person. I've made experiences with other therapists where everything was pretty smooth and they totally got what I was doing, and they saw that it was beneficial to our client, but I've also experienced quite the opposite.
Yeah, it's true.
I guess we all have.
Yeah. What's your favorite success? And the other one is I think that we can learn so much from our failures that I like to ask, what is your favorite failure? And
oh my goodness.
No, and I'll help you out. I had a guy that contacted me one time, and he had way much more money than he did have sense, and he absolutely totally wanted to get off of cocaine, except for he didn't want to really get off of cocaine. He wanted me to take my magic pen and wave it back and forth, and poof, and he wouldn't have to do any work, experience any pain or any withdrawal or anything, and it just absolutely fell flat, and to the point where I wouldn't see him anymore. And about 6 years later, he contacted me back saying that he finally hit bottom. He decided he wanted to be married more than he wanted to do drugs, went to rehab and all this other stuff, and had nothing but shining, wonderful things to say about me. And I'm like, okay, because
wow.
Yeah, it was just crazy.
That's really cool. I mean, I had a couple of clients where, when we spoke after a couple weeks or with one client, I remember I spoke to her, like, it was 6 months after our session, and we only had one session. And then she said it wasn't beneficial for me, so I'd rather not spend more money on this because nothing has happened. And then, I mean, I don't know, 1 year after I was last in contact with her, a client showed up, and I tried to ask that question. Why did you pick me? And she said, well, you were recommended to me. And I said, oh, okay, who recommended you? And it was that client. And I was like, huh, so interesting. And I don't know, a couple months after that, I was just in the city, I was shopping, and I met her. And she was like, oh my God, Nicole, so good to see you. I've always wanted to send you an email. And I was like, oh, okay. And she said, well, it took so long. And then it hit me. Oh my God, I haven't had this problem for months. And I was like, well, thanks for letting me know, and thanks for recommending my services. I really appreciate that. But I wouldn't say that's a failure. I would say, well, what I'm not very proud of is well, we always have this saying, of course, no therapy without the client wanting it, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So I hypnotized my wife. She had a big spider phobia. And when we got to know each other, she was just she would freak out, like, I don't know. She would start crying when she saw a spider. She couldn't move. She would totally freeze, and it was horrible. And then we bought a house in the woods, and I said to her, if we want to move there, you will definitely cross paths with spiders, bigger ones. And she said, yeah, well, I might be doing something about it eventually. And then we moved there, and every time there was a spider, I got my glass and a piece of paper, and then I would relocate the spider after a big drama. And one night, we wanted to go to bed. I was still downstairs. Our bedroom was upstairs, and I heard a yell, a loud scream, and then I heard she was running. I heard that, and then she yelled that I need to bring a glass, the biggest one I can find, because she saw a huge spider. So I grabbed a big glass, and then I looked for the spider. It wasn't that big, really, but it was big enough for her. And I tried to catch it, but the problem was it was between a beam and some piece of furniture, and I couldn't get my glass in between there. So I got another glass, and then I tried to catch her, but she was afraid of me, that spider thingy. And so she hid behind that piece of furniture, and I tried with my piece of paper to get her to crawl all the way down so that I could catch her. But I couldn't. And then Maren, my wife, she asked me, well, did you get her? And I was thinking maybe I could just say yes. But then I figured no. Then I said, no, I'm sorry. She is somewhere. I don't know where she is. And she said, I can't sleep here. I will not sleep here. I will go downstairs. I'll sleep on the couch. And I said, you know what, I've had enough. We've been dealing with this for such a long time. If you want this gone, it's now. So I think I put a lot of pressure on her, and then I hypnotized her, and we
That
dealt
was
with
actually a
it.
really good language pattern. If you want this gone now is going, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Nicole, thank you so much for chatting with me today. But quick, let's do a commercial. How do people get a hold of you? Do you accept Zoom calls from people from pretty much anywhere? And how would they get a hold of you?
Sure. Well, the easiest thing would probably be my website. I have a company in the US, and then we cater especially to athletes. And so the company's name is Performability, and the website is www.performabilityllc.com.
Okay.
And I that probably would be easiest. And either send me an email, Nicole@performabilityllc.com, or use the contact formula.
I'll make sure that all of that information, you're going to send me an email, right? This means yes. You're going to send me an email.
Yes,
And I'll
of
put
course.
all that in the YouTube, in the comments and stuff like that. And I cannot thank you enough
Thank you. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, and I know it's dark over there, but we're still in the middle of the day. So over here.
Yeah.
So if you ever do take on something new, or you just want to come back and tell us how your horses and stuff are doing, please do that. And I thought of one more thing that I wanted to ask you.
Go ahead.
Is I love animals, and I know for a fact that dogs and cats take on the stress of their owner.
Absolutely.
And
horses do the same.
Okay, and I was going to ask about that. And how do you ground your horses? How do you treat them?
My horses? Well, first of all, I take care that I don't take with me stuff from my clients. So I always do a little cord cutting, or I ground myself before. I only have one horse left, so before I visit him and spend time with him. And I'm really trying to be aware of his needs. And so I think that's probably the best you can do, to really be aware of yourself, of your presence, of your emotions, and whether there's something you should probably not take with you.
So thank you again, and let's talk again soon.
Definitely, I would love that.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Michael.
I'm going to turn the thing off.